My son Robert turned 58 this past March. I know because I saw it on Facebook. I don't have his phone number anymore. He changed it a while back and didn't send me the new one. And the worst part, the part that keeps me up most nights, is that it is completely my fault. I am 84 years old. I was never drunk, never violent. I never walked out. I was right there in that house for 30 years, and I still managed to lose my son. And it all comes down to 3 words I never said to him, 3 words I had no trouble feeling. I just could never make them come out of my mouth. My name is Eugene. I worked 38 years at a steel plant in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Hard work, honest work, the kind that takes a piece of you every single day and doesn't give it back. My father worked the same plant before me, and his father before that. 3 generations of men who showed up, kept their heads down, and didn't complain. That was how you loved your family. You bled for them. You put the food on the table. You kept the roof over their heads. You did not say things. Men didn't say things where I came from. Saying things was for other kinds of people. My father never once told me he loved me. Not once in 70 years. Not on my wedding day. Not when Robert was born. Not lying in that hospital bed at the end. He just wasn't built that way, or so I told myself. And I hated him for it sometimes, quietly, the way you hate somebody you also admire. I used to lie awake when I was 10, 11 years old, wondering what I'd done wrong, wondering if he was proud of me at all. He came to every one of my football games, sat in the stands every Friday night in that brown overcoat, arms folded, face still as stone. And when I'd look up at him after a good play, a good hit, something I knew was worth looking up for, nothing, a small nod, maybe. That was all I ever got out of that man. And then I turned around and I did the exact same thing to Robert. Robert was a good kid. Lord, he was a good kid. Smart, worked hard, never gave us a moment of real trouble. When he was 17, he got a scholarship to Penn State, first person in our family to go to college. I remember the day the letter came. He came running into the kitchen, waving that envelope, face lit up like Christmas morning, hollering, and I stood there reading it, and I thought to myself, I was so proud of that boy I could barely breathe. And you know what I said to him? I said, good, don't waste it. That's it. That's the whole thing I gave him. Good, don't waste it. And I watched the light go right out of his face, like someone turned a switch. He nodded, folded the letter back up, and walked out of the kitchen. And I just stood there like I'd done something sensible. I told myself I was being practical. I told myself I didn't want him getting a big head. My job was to keep him grounded, keep him hungry, make sure he understood that life was not going to hand him a single thing. I had a whole philosophy built around it. You praise a kid too much, you make him soft. You make him need other people's opinions to feel like he's worth something. I genuinely believed that. I thought I was doing him a favor. I thought the silence was a kind of armor I was building around him. I wasn't. I was just doing what my father did to me and calling it wisdom. Robert graduated at the top of his class. Got a good job, built something real over the years. Married a good woman, Carol. Had 2 kids, my grandchildren, Emma and Thomas, who I've met maybe 4 times. And every year, that boy did something that filled me up with a pride I didn't know what to do with. Promotions, the business he built, the way you could see he was a different kind of father than I was. And every single time, I'd nod. Maybe clap him on the shoulder once, tell him to keep at it. I could never get past that. I don't know exactly what the blockage was, I just know it was real and I could never move it. There was one night, I think about it more than almost any other memory I have. Robert was about 35. He'd come down for Thanksgiving, just him and Carol before the grandkids. After dinner, after his mother Margaret went to bed, we were sitting out on the back porch. Just the 2 of us. Beers in hand, watching the dark out past the yard, not saying much of anything. And Robert got very quiet. And then he asked me, he said, Dad, are you proud of me? Just like that. Soft, almost like he was ashamed to be asking. Like he'd been carrying that question for 35 years, which he had, and he was finally just too tired to carry it alone anymore. I froze up. Something moved through my chest. I felt it. I want you to know that. I felt it. I knew what I wanted to say. The words were right there. I could feel them sitting in my throat like something physical. But some old door that had been rusted shut for so long just would not open. And after a silence that went on too long, I said, "Robert, I raised you, didn't I? That speaks for itself." And he nodded very slowly, and he looked out at the yard. And we sat there in the dark, and neither one of us said another word. He stopped calling as much after that, gradually at first, then faster. The holidays got shorter, then they stopped coming altogether. I told myself he was busy. I told myself it was Carol's family pulling them in another direction. I told myself all kinds of things that let me off the hook. But I knew. I knew exactly what I had been doing to that boy his whole life. I just did not know how to go back and undo 50 years of silence. Men like me, we don't have the wiring for that. Or, at least, that's what I kept telling myself right up until Margaret passed and Robert came and sat beside me in the front row and held my hand through the whole service, not saying a word, just holding my hand. And I sat there thinking the words as clearly as I've ever thought anything. "I'm proud of you, Robert. I love you. I'm sorry." Clear as a bell. And not one of them came out. He flew back the next morning. I haven't seen him since. Now I'm going to talk to you. Not the part of you that's watching this like it doesn't apply. The other part, the part that already has a name sitting in your chest right now because I put it there. Maybe it's your kid. Maybe it's your father. Maybe it's a brother you haven't properly spoken to in years because something small hardened into something that feels impossible. Maybe it's someone who asked you once, quietly, the way Robert asked me on that porch, if you were proud of them, and you gave them a nod and a practical answer, and you watched the light leave their face. You know who I'm talking about. The name came to you. It always does. Here's what I need you to understand from a man who is 84 years old and sleeping alone in a house full of photographs of people he let slip away. The silence does not protect anyone. I told myself for 50 years I was protecting Robert, keeping him from becoming soft, keeping him from needing things. But that was not the truth. The truth was I was protecting myself. From vulnerability, from the risk of saying something real and feeling naked in front of my own son. That's all it was. Fear. Dressed up in a philosophy, but fear right down to the bone. Your people, the ones still here, still breathing, still on the other end of a line you haven't dialed, they don't need you to be consistent. They don't need you to be right. They don't need the stoic rock. They need to hear from your own mouth what they mean to you, while there is still time to hear it back. I wrote Robert a letter last month, 2 pages, front and back, handwritten. Said everything I should have said 30 years ago, all of it. I don't know if he read it. I don't know if he'll ever call. But I sent it. First true thing I have put into words in 84 years. And I'll tell you something. I felt lighter the moment I put it in the box. Like I'd been carrying that sealed envelope in my chest my whole life and I'd finally just let go of it. If there is a name in your chest right now, pick up the phone, write the letter, drive over there, say the thing. Don't wait until you are sitting in this chair looking at a Facebook page to find out your child turned another year older. If this meant something to you, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Somebody with their jaw clenched tight around words they should have said a long time ago. And leave me a comment, just the name. The person you need to say something to. You don't have to say anything else, just the name. That's enough to start. Subscribe if you want more of these. We don't all have as much time as we think. Neither do you. Make the call.